Here on BBC Upload with me, Adam Crowther. Right, some theatre now. Our next upload is from Hedgehog Theatre, a brilliant group. They've sent in a bit of a sketch, a bit of their theatre piece, I suppose, from the South Wiltshire theatre group called Hedgehog Theatre. They're putting on their own production of Through the Looking Glass, which is happening in a local venue very soon. We'll find out a bit more about it from someone behind it called Jacob Holland. We'll hear from him very shortly indeed. Well, the show features Jacob and Jack Holland performing as Tweedledum and Tweedledee. And Jacob on the uploader said it's a classic book and it teaches us how to make sense of chaos, which is really important in the current climate. We'll hear from Jacob after this. But first, take a listen. The Walrus and the Carpenter from Hedgehog Theatre.
He sorted out those of the largest size, holding his pocket handkerchief before his streaming eyes.
Oh, oysters, said the carpenter, you've had a pleasant run. Shall we be trotting home again?
But answer came there none.
And this was scarcely odd, because they'd eaten every one. BBC Upload. BBC Upload.
Incredible, that. Actually, I really enjoyed listening to that. You can hear the chaos within it. I love a bit of theatre. I love it. Well, Jacob Holland from Hedgehog Theatre is on the show. Jacob, this is mad. Tell us why you wanted to put this on.
Yeah, it is madness, as you would have heard. I mean, the reason why I wanted to put it on was, I think, firstly, everybody knows Alice in Wonderland. It's a really well-known story, but people are perhaps less familiar with its twin, its sister, its sequel, which is obviously Through the Looking Glass. And I think a lot of people are unaware that the things like the Walrus and the Carpenter, which you've just heard, who that always famously appears in Alice in Wonderland, but it's actually from Through the Looking Glass. So there are lots of bits of the story that are actually in Through the Looking Glass, and you might not have heard or seen them in their proper sort of context before. So I just sort of wanted to redevelop that story, put some life into it, and introduce people to this equally charming continuation of the Alice story. And I guess I wanted to do Alice because, I mean, she's probably the most famous little girl in the world. Perhaps Matilda as well. But Alice is, she is she is the first sort of, really the first child, role model almost, particularly for the Victorian era when the book was written as well. It was particularly unusual. So I guess I like the story because it's like you say, it's mad, it's crazy, but I think it helps with making sense of the mad world that we live in. So that's why I like it, yeah.
And you sort of said on the uploader that it is a classic book and it teaches us about how to make sense of the chaos, as you just sort of alluded to there. Is the sort of Boris Johnson-esque type impression a reference to the chaos?
Adam, I was wondering if you would recognise it. Yes, So, Boris was a influence for that role. Basically, when we were rehearsing it, we were messing around with voices, and one of my cast members said, "Oh, you're quite good at impressions. Why don't you make it Boris Johnson?" And so that's what we did. And some people may recognise him, others may not. But yes, he does appear briefly as the walrus.
I think if Boris Johnson was to be an animal, then I think probably a walrus is probably a good starting
pretty
point.
Good. Yeah.
What's your favourite bit then, Jacob, about performing theatre like this?
I think in this kind of context, I think it's obviously we're aiming it at children and families. So it's a good family activity for everyone. And I think that's the reason why I like performing this kind of theatre, because it is universal. And, you know, I'm trying to introduce children to theatre, and this might be the first time that they're seeing a production. I mean, I'm in Panto this year, and that is another example of, you know, children seeing theatre for the very first time. And I think that's why I like it so much, is because it's introducing children to a medium that is perhaps not quite as common as it was. And I think it's really important that children see that visceral, that live experience where, you know, anything could go wrong. The actors could, you know, something could occur. And I think that's why I like it so much, because it is happening in front of you, you know, in real time.
Yeah, it's nice when it's tangible and it is in front of you, because it makes it very real when it's right in front of your face like that. I think the Kids for Experience Theatre in all of its glory is going to be great. And you are putting a performance of this on very soon in Bath, aren't you?
That's right. So it's coming to the Mission Theatre in Bath, and it is happening on the 1st and 2nd of November. So it's at the end of the half term, a nice little end of half term treat. Shows at 2:00 and 6:30 on both days. So there's plenty of opportunity to see it.
And you're also looking, I suppose, for other venues to put this on too.
Yeah, I am looking for other venues. If anyone in Bristol or Bath or the wider area is listening and they want to, I mean, we're aiming it at schools as well. Obviously, this is quite a good schools show as well. You know, it's like I said, it's very universal. It does well with sort of Key Stage 2 students, children. So yeah, I am looking for that as well. Yes.
And where can people, importantly, find out more about what you do and get their hands on tickets and all the rest of that sort of stuff?
Yes. So if you want to buy tickets for the Mission Theatre show that's happening, you can do that on the Mission Theatre website. Just type in the Mission Theatre on Google and it's the first one that appears. You can follow us on Instagram at Hedgehog Theatre. That's at Hedgehog Theatre. We are also on Facebook, also under Hedgehog Theatre. And we'll shortly be producing some trailers and video footage of the show as well, which will be through my YouTube channel, which is Jacob Holland Comedy.
Love that. Brilliant stuff. So, Jacob, you've mentioned there and alluded to it a bit that you're doing a bit of comedy stuff too. What sort of stuff can people uncover on your YouTube channel aside from the trailers for this?
Well, there's lots of me doing various stand-up routines on there. There's an impressions reel on there, which is just sort of me being pretty mad for 5 minutes, which is basically just one impression after another, basically. And there is also some radio stuff on there as well. So I did some radio sketch work as well. So there's a few radio sketches, and there's a couple of full-length sketch shows on there as well. I did a sketch show called Never Had It So Good, which is a comedy radio sketch show. So I did a couple of episodes of those. So yeah, there's quite a wide range of comedy on there. Yeah,
loads of stuff to get at then. Jacob, thank you so much for appearing on the show, and we hope to hear more from you on the uploader very soon. Is that all right?
No worries, Adam. Thank you very much.
It's a deal. Cheers, Jacob.
Thank you. Cheers.
BBC Upload.
I just felt like someone had a bit of belief in me as well. It's a tough gig.